Greetings, righteous family, and I give all praise and great glory to only the Almighty, Most High Creator. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I released a video, and I was explaining how Judah is resting here in America. And when I say Judah, I mean the Hebrews, the Negroes, or the African Americans. Now, I read this scripture, Genesis 49:9. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the tender plant, my son, thou art gone up. Having crouched, thou liest as a lion, and as a whelp. Who shall stir him up? So I asked the Almighty, who shall stir him up? And he gave me the answer. Now, before I give you that scripture, I want to show you other things that are happening right now that tie into that scripture. And all of it is future prophecy or latter-day prophecy. So, since this racist has gotten to office, he has done everything that he can to get the African Americans to come out and protest so he can do martial law. He has rolled back DEI, and the African Americans laughed at him. He made it all right to do contracts, government contracts, with companies that are segregated. Okay? We African Americans laughed at it. They brought out from their media about segregation, period. And we laughed at it. We welcomed it. We want to be left alone. They destroyed the mural or the street that said Black Lives Matter. That didn't bring us out to protest. They authorized the FBI, or they gave the FBI jurisdiction over the local police departments. Okay, that did not bring us out. But this is one thing that ties into all of this, and it ties into future prophecy. This is another thing that he's done. Donald Trump's executive order to reverse police accountability leaves activists vulnerable and defiant. Basically, what this is saying is Trump has put in the executive order where there is no accountability for the police. So just like in the olden days with the KKK running around doing whatever they wanted, he's trying to do that here. Okay, I believe that this could tie into scripture. Now, another thing that he is doing with his media is he is putting a spell on his followers, making them believe that we are the problem, and he has also put on them that they have freedom of speech and they can say whatever they want to whomever they want. And I'll show you the outcome of just one of the people that tried that. So, Trump is doing all of these things to get us to come out and protest. And this right here, like I said, this could tie in to future prophecy. So I said that I was going to, that Trump has told his people that they could say whatever they want to whomever they want. This racist walked into a African American bar here in America, obviously. And before he was even walking in the door, he was dropping the N-bomb. He walked in, okay? The African Americans that were in there were telling him to be quiet and just go home. He kept going. He told them, or the people in the club told him, that there are people in here that are not going to put up with that crap. He kept going. Finally, they told him that he doesn't want smoke. He kept going. He got what was coming to him. He got beat down. And now our enemies are trying to bring up hate crimes on the African Americans that were in the bar. Not even, besides the fact that if he wouldn't have walked in the bar with his racial slurs, none of this would have happened. But it's our fault. So he got what was coming to him. Another thing that is happening is there are his kind, racist, that are putting out videos trying to instigate a race war. Now, this racist here was saying that if a race war broke out, that we would lose. And Trump has them convinced that this is the case. So, there's things like this going on. And there's more racist white people than other people coming out and saying or instigating the race war. There's another one that they are doing on social media. Okay, this person said, "Come visit us in Hardin, Texas. Plenty of trees for you all." Okay, they are coming out blatantly with their racism. So I'm going to keep going. Okay, this happened in Kansas City. Mass Patriot Front, white nationalist, march Saturday in Kansas City. So white nationalists came out into Kansas City and tried to push their racist crap, and they got arrested. But this isn't, they are doing this more and more, coming into black spaces and doing this. Okay, another thing that just recently happened is, like I said, Trump gave control to the FBI over the local cop stations. He has deployed the FBI to Memphis, Tennessee. Trump said that the African Americans in Memphis, Tennessee personally asked him to send more police because of the violence. And we know that that is a straight up lie. So, Trump has deployed the FBI to Memphis. He has put in this executive order to have it as to where police have no accountability for their actions. And like I said, this could tie in to future prophecy. One thing, that no one is talking about is when Judah does rise up. We are not coming out to protest. We're coming out to end bloodlines. And Deuteronomy 32:39-42, and I read, "Behold, behold, that I am he, and there is no power beside me. I kill, and I will make to live. I will smite, and I will heal, and there is none who shall deliver out of my hands, no one. For I will lift up my hand to heaven and swear by my right hand, and I will say, I live forever. For I will sharpen my sword like lightning, and my hand shall take hold of judgment, and I will render judgment to my enemies, and we will recompense them that hate me. I will make my weapons drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh. It shall gut itself with the blood of the wounded, and from the captivity of the heads of their enemies that rule over them. So be it." Now, I am going to break this down because there's a couple of things to this. Here, in 41, it says, "For I will sharpen my sword like lightning." Then it says down here, I will make my weapons drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh. Okay, this is literal. This is us. For the Almighty takes pleasure, Psalms 149, 4-9, and I read, For the Almighty takes pleasure in his people, and will exalt the meek with salvation. The saints shall rejoice in glory, and shall exult on their beds. The high praises of the Almighty shall be in their throat, and two-edged swords in their hands. Literal. To execute vengeance on the nations, and punishments among the peoples, to bind their kings with fetters, and their nobles with manacles of iron, to execute on them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. So this sword that he speaks about is a literal sword. And I've done a video years ago, and I gave scripture of one of our ancestors using this sword and what he said to bring out the sword. So this is a literal sword. Okay, I will make my weapons drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh. This sword is going to devour flesh. The weapons, Jeremiah 51, 19 and 20. And I read, The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Yasharel is the rod of his inheritance. The Almighty of hosts is his name. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war, for with thee will I break into pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms. So the weapons are the tribe of Judah. The sword is this sword right here that our ancestors have already yielded. So I'm going to read Psalms 137. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat and wept when we remembered Zion. We hung our harps on the willows in the midst of it. For there they that had taken us captive asked of us the words of a song, and they that had carried us away asked a hymn, saying, Sing us one of the songs of Zion. How should we sing the Almighty's song in a strange land? If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget its skill. Righteousness. May my tongue cleave to my throat. If I do not remember thee, if I do not prefer Jerusalem as the chief of my joy. Remember, O Almighty, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to its foundations. Wretched daughter of Babylon, blessed shall he be who shall reward thee as thou hast rewarded us. Fortunate shall be he who shall seize and dash thine infants against the rocks. This says the daughter of Babylon, and it says, fortunate shall he be who shall seize and dash thine infants against the rocks. That is ending bloodlines, like I said. So, and this is all going to tie in. Like I said, the Almighty gave me the answer to this scripture. Genesis 49:9. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the tender plant, my son, thou art gone up. Having crouched, thou liest as a lion, and as a whelp, who shall stir him up? Who shall stir him up? Jeremiah, having computer problems here. Sorry about this, family. Give me a second. Jeremiah 51, 37 to 41. And Babylon shall be a desolation, and shall not be inhabited, for they rose up together as lions, and as lions' whelps. So who is going to pull Judah out of its rest? Babylon. I'll keep reading. In their heat I will give them a draw, and make them drunk, that they may be stupefied, and sleep an everlasting sleep, and not awake, saith the Almighty. And bring thou them down as lambs to the slaughter, and rams with kids. How has the boast of all the earth been taken and caught in a snare? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Now this is where it ties in. Okay, we know that it is Babylon that is going to pull Judah out of its rest. And then right here it says, how has the boast of all the earth been taken and caught in a snare? So we're going to go to Psalms 124. And we're talking about this snare because it's mentioned numerous times in our book. And it says snare, and then it says we are delivered. So Psalms 124, 2 to 8. If it had not been that the Almighty was among us, when men rose up against us, verily they would have swallowed us up alive, when their wrath was kindled against us. Verily the water would have drowned us, our soul would have gone under the torrent. Yea, our soul would have gone under the overwhelming water. Fortunate be the Almighty, who has not given us for a prey to their teeth. Our soul has been delivered as a sparrow from the snare of the fowlers. The snare is broken, and we are delivered. Our help is in the name of the Almighty, who made heaven and earth. So be it. So here again, it shows us that they are going to lay down a snare, and they are going to get trapped in it. Now I want to go into this scripture a little bit deeper, because years ago, I and other people have had a vision of a huge wave that goes over a big body of water, and the wave was taller than all the buildings. Jeremiah 51, 42 to 44. The Almighty shows us this wave and where it is. The sea has come up upon Babylon with the sound of its waves, and she is covered. Her cities are become like a dry and trackless land. Not so much as one man shall dwell in it, neither shall a son of man lodge in it. And I will take vengeance on Babylon, and will bring forth out of her mouth what she has swallowed down, and the nations shall no more be gathered to her. So be it. So if you have had that vision about that gigantic wave, it is Babylon. And now I'm going to show you, a little bit later, that the demise of Babylon and the demise of the daughter of Babylon are two different things. We can see right here that the Almighty is going to righteously wash the UK. Now, you might ask, how is anyone going to survive that? Isaiah 43, 1 and 2. And now thus saith the Almighty Power that made thee, O Jacob, and formed thee, O Yasharal. Fear not, for I have redeemed thee. He has lifted our captivity. I have called thee by thy name, thou art mine. And if thou pass through water, I am with thee, and the rivers shall not overflow thee. So when the Almighty sends that big wave on the UK, Babylon, the righteous Negroes that are there, Hebrews, they have nothing to worry about. Now, I said that the destruction of Babylon is different from the destruction of the daughter of Babylon. And I'm going to get to that. Okay, but we're going to continue on the snare. Psalms 124. Our soul has been delivered as a sparrow from the snare of the fowlers. The snare is broken and we are delivered. Psalms 9:15. The heathen are caught in the destruction which they planned. In the very snare which they hid is their foot taken. So this also mentions the snare. Psalms 91:1-3. And I read, He that dwells in the help of the highest shall sojourn under the shelter of the power of heaven. He shall say to the Almighty, Thou art my helper and my refuge, my power. I will hope in him. For he shall deliver thee from the snare of the hunters. Now, I had said that the destruction of Babylon and the destruction of the daughter of Babylon are different. Excuse me. And here's the scripture. Zechariah 2:6-7. And I read, Ho, ho, flee from the land of the north, North America, saith the Almighty. For I will gather you from the four winds of heaven, saith the Almighty, even to Zion. So he says he's going to gather us. This is the first group. Even to Zion. Deliver yourselves, ye that dwell with the daughter of Babylon. So, Babylon is going to get wiped out by water. The UK. America is not going to be wiped out by water, obviously, because if we have to deliver ourselves, then that means the Almighty didn't wash away our enemies. So you might ask, how are we going to deliver ourselves? Psalms 149, 5-9. The saints shall rejoice in glory, and shall exult on their beds. The high praises of the Almighty shall be in their throat, and two-edged swords in their hands, to execute vengeance on the nations, and punishments among the peoples, to bind their kings with fetters, and their nobles with manacles of iron, to execute on them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Now, I don't remember in the beginning of the video if I mentioned this, but when Daniel 12:1 happens, when the Almighty sends us our death angel, or Malak, it's going to happen at nighttime. The saints shall rejoice in glory and shall exult on their beds. Here in America, when we wake up, we go to work or do whatever. We get out of our beds. If the Almighty is telling us that we are going to exult on our beds, then that tells us that this is going to happen at nighttime. And that is Daniel 12:1. That's the kickoff. So, is this going to be the planned destruction, the snare that they are going to lay down that is going to pull Judah out? I don't know. We will find out shortly, because he has already written the executive order. What do? As always, we follow only the Almighty, Most High Creator with a whole heart, in humbleness and humility, with strict obedience. That is how, in the UK, you are going to survive the gigantic wave, and here in America, the daughter of Babylon, the Almighty is the only thing that is going to save us when they raise up against us. Strict obedience. So, let's see how this plays out. All praise and great glory to only the Almighty Most High Creator. And may the Almighty Creator keep His face turned towards you and your families. May He give you the spirit of wisdom to navigate this system. And may He protect and provide for you. Have a wonderful day, righteous family. And talk to you soon.